Good morning. Welcome to today's show live at 9, April 29th. Thanks for joining us. We're continue to wind down the month of April. There's a lot happening out there in the cornfields and the soybean fields. We're going to talk your markets. We're going to talk a little bit of cattle. Had the crop progress conditions, planting pace out yesterday. Trades reacting a little bit to that, or not reacting, maybe. Export inspections were also yesterday. We're going to update you on the New World screwworm issue with Mexico cattle imports. Trump, some headlines there with tariff stuff as well. So we'll jump on over to your markets, tell you where we're at, and then run through a show. Thanks for joining us. May corn is down at 3 3/4 at 471 3/4. We got that contract winding down here. Looking at July corn down 3 3/4 at 479. New crop D's corn's down 3 cents at 447. May beans down 11 cents. July beans down 10 1/4, and new crop beans down 9 1/2 at 10.25. Soy oil is a little bit weaker, 89 cents weaker, 49.50, and soy meal is down 30 points at 295.60. Chicago wheat trying to bounce back, up 1/4% on your May, up a penny on July. KC wheat, we got the July contract down 1/4 cent at 539 1/2. Looking over at your cotton market, new crop D's cotton is down 35 points at 68.66. We got some green on the screen in your cattle board. The May feeders are up $1.40 at 293.20. Good to see the front months pretty firm there. 50 points to 75 points firmer in your back months out there. Live cattle are also seeing some green on the screen, pushing up to new contract highs, up 0.375 on your April, up 52.5 on your June at 210.12. Looking over at your lean hog market, hogs are leaking a little bit weaker. May hogs down 0.325, and your June hogs down 0.750 at 100.25. Crude oil is down $1.18 a barrel at 60.86. The diesel your diesel heating oil market is down 2 to 3 cents at 2.14, and nat gas is down 1 to 2 cents at 3.32. Your Dow's up 100 points. The S&P is down 1.25, relatively flat. The Nasdaq is 8 points higher at 19,535. The Russell's down 7 points. Bitcoin is relatively flat. Gold is down 31 points, 3,316. Silver's a little bit firmer. The US dollar is trying to bounce back. 2 years up. The 10-year is up as well. So markets are churning here. They're churning. That's a good word to use. Going everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But good to see your cattle markets pushing higher. Grains, though, a lot of red there on the screen. And it just seems like the path of least resistance here lately has been lower. And there's been a weight on the market. The bulls have been battling, trying to hang in there. But we had an export flash this morning. Those are always great to see. We had 120,000 metric tons of corn going to Spain and 110,000 metric tons of beans going to unknown destinations. That's great to see these things come together and see those every morning. That's demand, and that's good to see. Some people seeing some buying opportunities there. U.S. in the corn market, the U.S. is the #1 game in town out there. So corn to Spain is a good thing. That beans to unknown, though, that's great to see, especially when Brazil crop is online, and seeing those U.S. beans go out the door is great. So I'm going to jump over to inspections, and then we'll come back to crop progress if I don't forget. So don't let me forget that, guys. But we had good export inspections out yesterday. Wheat inspections really strong, but solid for both corn and wheat, and even beans to some extent. So we'll take it there on that front. But that wheat shipment, just look at that on that graphic there, really highlights the strong pace of wheat bushels going out the door. Good to see that demand there. And then on the corn side, year-to-date corn sales are pushing 90% of USDA's forecasted 2.5 billion bushels, and current shipments are over 60% of that total. So really strong shipments, really strong export sales on corn. Prior years, you could maybe pencil in that the USDA needs to still raise that export forecast another 50, 100, maybe even 150 million bushels when you got the current pace that we have for this marketing year. So really strong case getting made there on the corn front and on the wheat shipments there. So good to see that. Now let's jump back over to your crop progress and update you on that. The corn came in 24% planted. A lot were looking for 25%. So I'd say, that pace to some extent may be a little bit disappointing. That you'd think that'd provide us a somewhat supportive tone to your markets. But with the board being down right now, nobody's real worried about the pace of crop getting planted. I got another graphic I'm going to pop up here in a little bit, but so yeah, 24% planted on your corn, 18% on beans. That's 10% better than last week and 6% above the 5-year average. And corn being 2% above the 5-year average, so hanging in there. Sorghum, 21% this week, 17% last week. Last year, 19%. Looking at your spring wheat, 30%, very much in line with last year, well ahead of the 5-year average at 21%. Your cotton, 15% versus 11% last week, 14% last year, and 14% the 5-year average. Your wheat conditions jumped 4%, 49%. A lot in the trade we're looking for 47%. It's a 4% jump versus last week. It equals last year's rating and is well ahead of the 5-year average. I would anticipate we'll see continued improvement in that winter wheat crop, good to excellent rating as we progress the next couple weeks, and these recent rains get incorporated into that condition. When I'm out here driving around in western Kansas looking at this wheat crop, it's really pushing higher, elongating. You're going to see some heads pushing here pretty soon. It's just a perfect timed rain for that crop, and we hope it holds together. And it's definitely avoided a disaster out here in Kansas and key parts of wheat country. So good to see it. We love bushels. We love raising the bushels. Hopefully we did some proactive marketing of those bushels or protecting of the price. That's what it's great to have the bushels, but if we pretended we weren't going to have them and accidentally were surprised when we actually had them, don't come back looking to blame anybody else but yourself for that marketing on that front. But I'll give you a break on there. All right, here's a great graphic from Dr. Cruz. He's put together a couple, and I'm not sure which one I like better, but I like this one. It highlights progressive pace of the corn planting pace, looking each week time frame, going back for a number of years there. So things that stand out to me in this graphic are looking at other years like 2019, how extended and how many weeks that planting pace drug on. If you remember, we dealt with some significant flooding problems in 19 and too wet, couldn't get in the fields, and it just really drug planting of that U.S. corn crop out into the early part of June. And the other thing that stands out is like a 2012 type year where we had a very condensed window of planting, started early, ended early. And 2012, we didn't have a great crop at all, had some drought problems, and we all know how that ended. But interesting out here, interesting way to look at that planting pace. And to me, no red flags right now as of yet. We'll continue to monitor this as the weeks progress. Important couple weeks coming up in the U.S. grain belt as we get corn and beans out there planted in the field. All right. Next on the list here is the short-lived export ban with Mexican feeder cattle. We talked about that story yesterday, dropped over the weekend, and it looks like we've reached an agreement on how the U.S. and Mexico are going to handle the New World screwworm going forward. They haven't released all the details, but they've at least alleviated the headline that ban would go in place tomorrow on April 30th. So they jumped at that and resolved that issue supposedly here. We'll get some more details and see what unfolds here the rest of the day, but that's one of the big headlines here. Other big headline driving your market is the Trump is going to soften some blows on automotive tariffs. That's supporting maybe the macro markets a little bit. Talked about relieving some levies and tariffs on foreign parts used in cars that are put together or manufactured here domestically. Also had some retroactive tariff removal on steel and aluminum components. So some news there that kind of just highlights a softening of the auto tariff tone out there. We'll see how it unfolds and how the markets react going forward. But a lot happening in your markets, a lot happening in the fields. Stay safe out there as you progress. Yesterday on premium content, we pumped out a wheat rec. With this wheat market moving like it has, if you have positions on, you need to be looking at those positions. And we had some specific strategies that we blasted out to customers and premium subscribers that highlighted what a person should be doing to protect equity in hedges they have in place, positions they have in place, and manage this type of market volatility that we've seen. We've seen this wheat market just move significantly. Rewind the clock to middle of February and July, KC wheat was in the 650 area, and here we are 538 on your July KC wheat. So $1.10, $1.20 range in your wheat futures. That's the type of markets we deal with, is dollar markets, not dime markets. So make sure you're managing the dollars, not the dimes, and it pays to be a premium subscriber because you get those recs when they matter. Let's jump on over and see what comments we got there. Luke jumping in here. Appreciate your comment, Luke. Thanks for throwing this out there. Let's see what you got to say. Seeing good and pretty even emergence on corn. Starting to get somewhat dry here in the Carolinas. We could use a good soaking rain. It's that time of year where rains, we're 2-3 weeks away from a drought. So good, always need that next rain. Appreciate the update, Luke. Good to have good even emergence out there in your fields as well. Don't forget about the Mid-Atlantic. You guys, your local production is so important because of just the dynamics out there and the demand out there. We talked a lot about potential for some soybeans to make it, Brazilian soybeans to make it onto the East Coast out there too, with your guys' hot basis market and a crop of beans down there in the South that wants to go somewhere. So if you got updates on your planning progress, we love to hear the comments and know where you're at, what you're focused on, and what you're doing. But at the end of the day, we want you to have a safe time and a good time getting that crop in. And we thank you for joining us here today and every day. We'll be back here live at 9. No Tony Tuesday today. She's busy working. I can't afford to bring Tony in every day. Tony's great. We love having her. Appreciate her covering for me the last couple weeks when I've been out doing cowboy stuff. Gonna do some more cowboy stuff on Friday. We're putting embryos in our recip cows on Friday, and she's offered to cover for me Friday. So appreciate that, Tony. Giving her the day off though today, and we know she's not horsing around though. Rick, she ain't horsing around. Rick's got this great picture of her. Tony loves her horses, and you got to be careful with horse girls out there though. We all know that. Just kidding, just kidding. She's not horsing around though. She's busy working because she's a very, very hard worker. So thanks for joining us today, and I'll get out of here, let you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see y'all.